Mate, welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me, man.
But this time we're going to talk all about you, because I think last time we spoke it was health, fitness orientated, which is a lot about you, isn't it? But I thought Founder Files Uncensored, and it's definitely been uncensored one, mate. And you've got a lot to dig into, and I think there's a lot of valuable stuff for people to. I think this is multifaceted in that there's a lot of good stuff to take away, I think, by any conversation with you about self-development.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
But your life's pretty fucking cool. What has been pretty cool and up and down to this point.
Thank you.
Bashed up my horses and
all sorts.
Playing rugby. So, mate, yeah, tell everyone, for those that hadn't seen the previous episode, who you are and what you do.
Who am I? I used to start with who am I? We'd always start with business. So I'm the head consultant at Built for Pressure, etc. But actually, obviously, more so. Depends where I am. So obviously I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a friend, I'm an athlete. And I think something that I will come across throughout all my businesses and how I operate is wearing that hat at the right time. Currently operate in leadership performance space. I own a company called Built for Pressure, formerly known as Station Collective. We had like an evolution in relation to amalgamating physical performance and mental performance for people who are owning businesses or leading teams. Helping them stay on top of their body shape, health and performance so they can create more impact, more freedom and actually generate more revenue. That's always a big part of, I think, especially when you're talking about the high performance spaces, it's all fluff where I'm like, cool, I want to aim at the top 5%, the people that I want everything, not just people that, you know what it's like owning a business like this, especially like this, is once you start gaining balance of one of them, you start another 3 of them because you actually want that thrill of doing it. And that's what probably me and you connect on so much is you haven't got time to muck around. Play professional sport.
At high level. Well, you need to dig into some of this as well.
I don't worry. I'll broad overview just to the audience. Actually, this guy's just, he's not just a random looking like he's gone through a car crash, dude. Never feel sorry for him. Started off, this all stems from trying to be a professional athlete. So when I was a kid, I played high level tennis. So I was playing road to Wimbledon, originally from Brentford, West London. So I was quite an anomaly there. Everyone else there was smoking drugs and being weapons. And I'm not from a posh place at all, but yeah, it literally was. Yeah, I was in the middle of Drayton Manor Estate with people shooting fireworks at me whilst I was doing serves, mate. It was wild. And I also played at Wasps, London Wasps, Rugby Club. So I played alongside. And then I got beaten at road to Wimbledon. And then decided I wanted to play professional rugby. And that was the dream, but didn't care about anything else. I wasn't into business. I wasn't into making money. I wasn't into anything else, but I had to prove, this is where kind of the mental performance side of things was. I was trying to prove a point to everybody else that I could become who I said I could. And then went to Hartbury, signed for Gloucester in the end, in their academy. And then a few years later, went to National One and then signed my first, in Australia, signed my first professional rugby contract, for Doncaster Knights.
What does a professional rugby contract look like money-wise?
Average, mate. I was on 18k a year.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Full time. Yeah. So this is
get regularly smashed up by like people the size of cars.
Yeah. And do you know the thing is, especially is like the top end players of that, because I was. Donny moved into National One, which I'd been in National One for like 6 years. I was quite like an old head in there, and I was very well versed at that level. And to be honest, the money there was very similar.
Yeah.
But they had the ambition to go up. So I was lucky that they pulled down, they'll get involved. And similarly, like you said, when you're at that, I was working 4 jobs in National One. So I had an equestrian horse livery yard with my ex-partner. I was working in an autistic school, but it was a high spectrum unit. It wasn't like people call them a naughty boys school or whatever. It wasn't like this was like, these kids were one down from, they're highly medicated and it was very violent. I didn't know this. I walked in thinking it was a school. But they took the job and like, these kids have got cut. They honestly massively undersold it about what I was doing. My first day, I had a fridge thrown at me by this kid who was, it was unbelievable. Like, those mini beer fridges. I'm launched through mate, it was, and obviously, anyway, so I've had that. I did PT on the side. So this is probably where the health and fitness and performance stems from, is I've done this. I've been in the gym since I was 14.
Yeah.
Worked in a gym since I was 15.
Yeah.
I've worked across all realms of the sort of the gym from.
And that probably feeds in, mate. Well, your knowledge is so good then, because that struck me the first time we ever spoke.
Yeah. I've always been curious about human performance. Yeah. That's always been a big part of who I am. That all stems from inadequacy. Like I was a fat kid in year 7, a girl called Freya, shout out to you, gal, called me fat in a swimming pool, and that was it.
She just turned into this monster.
Mate,
like 20 years later.
Genuine, man. I remember it clear as day. You know when you go surfing, you wear those rash guards?
Yeah.
I was wearing one of those trying to be cool, but subconsciously it wasn't, because I was not in great nick. Reason being, previous injury was I couldn't move for 12 weeks, put weight or whatever. But you're at an age where this chick who you thought was fit, she literally was like, she just laughed. She's, what are you in that for? You what was it? What are you wearing that for? Are you just hiding your belly, mate? Done. Yeah, I literally went home, bang. In 12 weeks, I got shredded, man. Stopped eating. I just literally trained. I did all sports, cricket, tennis, through javelin, and played rugby, all for county at that time.
Yeah. But how interesting, like, without trying to derail the conversation a little bit, you've got what goes on nowadays online, which we're saying doesn't exist. We can choose how we respond to a negative input. Like, they can either be fucking absolute nuclear fuel, or you can let it trouble you for the rest of your life. I always find that quite fascinating. I think there's a rhyme or reason for the output here, because mine was similar, being skinny, being bullied. Doesn't happen now. Certainly doesn't happen now. But then my sister, on the other hand, always struggled with her weight, but then wouldn't, all in my, being quite crude about this. And obviously I know a lot about stress and hormones and stuff now, but to get thin, stop eating. To get big is fucking hard work. Like, you have to pay someone like some lunatic to go to someone's warehouse that they've kitted out a few mirrors with some heavy objects, like 60 quid a month. Like, so I always find that quite fascinating. But yeah, go on.
No. It's, if we really fast forward and then go back, we just ran our first in-person event in Dubai called the Immersion, which is a place where we're bringing people of like-minded nature who are driven solely on how well they perform, and giving them the execution and the understanding behind their performance. So we did a 2-day event where it was all around stress inoculation. So to your point around, it's kind of like it's a massive circle of it. I've used that fuel as stress at that time, and I used that as a fuel source for me to gauge my sort of my life's journey. I'm now in the position where I look at stress as a physiological, neurological, psychological, biochemical process of the body.
Yeah.
And we're teaching executives and leaders of how to actually leverage that. When you're going into IPO your business, or when you're going in for huge amounts of investment, how do you actually stand up in a boardroom, not crapping yourself?
Yeah, because I suppose stress, it comes in forms, doesn't it? Like, you put me in a scenario, like when we're in the army, like literally when it's going off, you're like, great. But like, right now I could probably learn to deal with stress wrong, because these two are probably getting regularly snapped at quite a bit for things that don't need the snap.
Yeah.
So that's quite an interesting.
It's massive, mate, massive, especially dealing with you're finding stages of acceptance and how to actually, we call it a challenge response. So you've obviously got a natural stress response to the body, which will take you through, we can talk hormones, biochemicals, and all this stuff. We can save that for the Life Lives podcast. So watch both of them.
Yeah.
But more so is what you're trying to do is gain emotional leverage. And especially in your situation, who's come from a place where it's extremely hostile, and especially in the military, where technically when it goes off, it's life or death. In here, it's not life or death. So the difference is when it's life or death, it becomes a way more. You have to have more conviction, more direction, and way more speed of execution, because it can put your life in danger, compared to some weapons text you knowing that they haven't done what they're supposed to, whatever. And you've internalized that stress, and then your language is being directed at somebody else. It's because of the way that you've learned how to execute in the military. That's why you're successful, is because your speed of decision making, rightly or wrongly, allows you to navigate that journey quickly in comparison to, like you said, sitting on a decision, letting dwell on it when you're getting anxious and all this other shit.
Negotiating, I think I've done the gap training. So with negotiating, you can't let that come in. Like, that's why I never wanted to go into the home channel where you're dealing with fucking Tesco, some prick that's literally done the opposite end of the course to you, to be a buyer, to like get you in a cold room on a Friday. He's an hour late, rude to you, because he's trying to stimulate an emotional response. It's just fucking, now I've got you overpriced and I can make you feel guilty. And I just think, fuck off, you've just been rude. No, I get it. So what they call it, you're in conflict or out of conflict at a very like a fundamental space in your characteristic.
Yeah.
Myers-Briggs or
Myers-Briggs, yeah.
Yeah. I always find that's quite interesting.
When we work with when we consult with anybody really, whether it's teams or individuals, I always go through a driver's assessment.
Right.
So I understand how you're driven.
Okay.
Because an example, if you're not metric driven but you're vision driven, I then know how to motivate you in times that you need to be motivated.
And things, right?
Yeah, so there's a really good book called Rocket Fuel, which talks around an integrator and a visionary.
Right.
I assume we have tested. You're very visionary. You're like, I see the idea. How do I execute it? Who do I need? And how do I get it done?
100%.
Where an integrator is like your man. who's on the camera, who can just literally push button, knows all the date, he can make it happen. Each business needs one of those. So
what would you say, Gaz?
What's that, mate?
Oh no, he's not listening.
No, what?
Integrators or visionaries?
What
would you be? You'd be a visionary as well. Where's he gone? Where's your man? He's definitely integrated, bruv. He knows what day you were born, mate. He'll kill you if you want it, boss.
I'm more of an integrator. I'm a bit point and shoot.
Yeah. Your spreadsheet, know what you're doing, know how to execute.
Fuck. Dave, point me in a direction.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
I'm good.
Yeah. But it's very. What I've found, especially working not only from competing in a professional environment, we can go through sort of my challenges with that, but afterwards, I've recognised that doesn't stop. It just goes into a different form.
Yeah.
Take yourself, for example. Like you said, serving there with a machine gun. You're now in a boardroom. The level of pressure, the same. Stress is stress. Your body doesn't recognise the difference. You've got pattern recognition with your brain that tells you, so you know when you're going into hostile environments. Now, hostile environments are gaining investment, or insert more business terminology around money and impact. Whereas before, your hostile environment was if you're going to Afghanistan, and we had a shout to Gareth Timmins, who was with me on the 0.1%. You should definitely get him on here, mate. You'd love to speak to him.
Mate, 100%.
Fucking mental, but his stories are wicked. But he talks about he works mainly in elite level mindset coaching,
right?
And his thing is around stages of acceptance, which is very similar to stages of grief. But actually, how do you accept your current? Like you'd have had like false endings and that kind of stuff that they drill into the military. He's using that now for corporate high level performance on the basis of you've got false endings that happen all the time in business, but the way you deal with them, yes, it's a bit different from like a physical standpoint from the military to this, but emotionally it's not different. Emotionally, you go through denial, you go through bargaining, you go through anger, you then go through a bit of depression. It's a bit of like, fuck me, I've got to do this again, and you accept it, get on and move on.
Oh mate, yeah, repetitive.
How do you get out of that first four and get to acceptance quickly? That's how you become more successful or more high performing in your execution. And I think that there, especially for people who we talk about founders and people that are running businesses, most people disassociate the inner game is where you win. Like that's what really fascinated me was everyone's on a level playing. If you understand health and performance, level playing field is a tick box exercise. You want to get stronger, do this. Get fitter, do that. Want to lose body fat, do this. If you want to improve your health, we'll talk about gut health later. If you
pretty linear, isn't it?
Yeah. I bet it's literally
this game business.
This bit is so great. And what fascinated me was, especially with my personal journey around resilience and actually overcoming huge trauma and that kind of thing, I recognize the patterns in that behavior are global. Everyone's got their own shit they're dealing with.
Yeah.
But more so, there's a certain population that can leverage it for the good, and they just send it. It doesn't matter what they've been through.
Yeah, it becomes fuel.
And they're just and there's some that crumble. There's a big thing we're looking at the moment, which is around mental resilience, of understanding the difference between mental toughness and mental sensitivity. And there's actually a sliding scale of that. So it's called the AQR test. They do it in corporates, super interesting because you could actually tell where a company can get to by how resilient their workforce is. Yeah. Because of can they sustain pressure for a long time and all that.
That builds a strategy. So I'll give you a live example of where we did. So when we was at Monster and was leaving, they had a really, they invested like $3,000 a month, which was jumping stupid in the leadership team. So I used to have a coach. He was a rugby player actually from Manchester. Thought it was like a little secret test at the time. So I like sat there, but blah, 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 just didn't shut up. I tried to figure him out, give him the examples to play himself. And he was like, take a breath. It's like, fuck this up, I know. And he's like, he just started laughing. He's like, what are you on about? He's like, do you know what I'm doing here? I was like, for that question, probably not. And he was like, fucking, he said, I've got no ideas. He goes, you're one of the most emotionally intelligent people I've ever met. He said, you just need to get out your fucking own way. And I was like, just started laughing. He's like, right. So he said, I ain't here to give you a pass or fail. He's like, you've made it in your career, mate. And I was like, what are you on about? And mate, he got me and he's like, I can see it. He said, you've made it. Yeah, well, fucking I have. He said, but you don't. And it was a whole sobering thing because he took me to a place where it's like, you are constantly thinking that you're being assessed. He said, you're not. This is leadership training, mate. He said, you've made it, and I'm here to navigate demons, help you understand yourself better, which is not about making it. It's about improvement and performance. And I'm like, oh.
Massive. But if you looked at that from an outside perspective, the reason why you're like that is because in the military, it's pass or fail.
Yeah.
So your whole process is driven by, am I accepted by the man? No, there isn't a man.
Yeah, and that was the thing, because you never got an endorsement, got there so early and was like, oh, is this it? And that's why I got flat of it, because I didn't feel like I'd achieved much. Everyone asked, why did you? It must have been hard leaving that job, flying around the world with Lewis Hamilton. Not really, because I didn't get the fulfillment at the end of it. It was definitely nice. I wasn't with my tribe.
Have you listened to Bradley Wiggins' podcast, on the High Performance podcast.
Nope.
He talks about basically when he won Rio and the Tour de France in the same season, how he was very close to near, like, that was it, I'm done. I could just fall off the planet and no one cares. We call it top of the peak syndrome.
Yep.
Everyone looks at the end product as the thing that's going to make them fulfilled. The issue with that is as soon as you get there, you look up and there's another peak, and there's another peak, and there's another peak, or there's no peaks and you're so bored.
Yeah.
What you do is you fuck it up again.
Yeah.
Because you like the pressure of the building bit.
Yeah.
And I think I've had this within my personal business of, I think everyone when they're space, I'm a solopreneur, so I work by myself. I've got people that work for me, and I've got a full-time videographer and all that. But if you ask me, like, gun to my head, when someone's chasing after me, it's me they want, yeah. So
yeah.
But you have version 1, version 2, version 3 of the business. You have it with Lifelines, it'd be version 1, version 2, version 77, or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Every stage that you're playing at, you'll have an association with what that success looks like. And when you achieve that success, it will never be good enough. So this is where, when I talk about, when I work with the clients now about how they're driven, I'm achievement driven. So I have to have a goal. If I don't have a goal, I'm boring. I just can't be asked. I just disengage because I'm there going, this is wasting my time. I haven't got you got people that are significant driven, so they just want to be part of someone's journey. If they're not part of a journey, they're like useless and they get anxiety and this kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's many others, but point being, if what we use is that as leverage, because if I know that your goal acquisition is massively important to you, I can attach that to something to get the behavior I need.
Yep.
So from my standpoint of going from professional, like I got into professional sport, I then had a major knee injury. So I was mentioned I had all those jobs before. We had an equestrian yard. My ex-partner was, I just signed 8 weeks into my first rugby contract. I came back home. I was living away. So I was up in Donny, and my partner was in Bromyard, which is Hereford. Yep. You know, near Mighty Jersey, but not far from that cloud.
That lad. That lad. Absolute lad.
Absolute lad, mate.
he's something else.
Grenade, man. Grenade. So I've got a funny story about him later. She was doing in cowboy films when they've got
breaking
a lunch line.
Oh right, yeah.
They've got a line and it's breaking them in.
I'm watching Yellowstone at the moment. Yeah,
I haven't watched it. Everyone says it's supposed to be mega. Yeah, I've watched when you watch half an episode and you're like, oh, this is a bit slow.
It's slow,
and then everybody is like, this is epic. So yeah, I've been right.
You'll love it.
We got to lock into this. I'm on the F1 at the moment. The F1 I've just got me a hook.
I've heard this.
The
new one.
The new one is absolute mate. Do you know what I love about it? Is it's so high pressure.
Yeah, I bet.
And the margin for error is so small. But then you again, in my line of work, you look at the characters that are in there, like the guys that own Mercedes or Ferrari. You just see their level of it's called the posh terms equanimity. It means calm under challenge. It's a Buddhist term. Yeah. And it's like if you're looking at elite level performance, Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, these people who are like Tiger Woods in his day, like when it was like.
Yeah, emotionless.
I just perform.
Yeah.
And I've always had this thing of, because I was the opposite as a rugby player. I was an angry, little, violent arsehole who was not that talented. Yeah. But I'd outbleed you. Yeah. And I'd outwork you. Yeah. And if you wanted to start a fight with me, Lord, hold my beer. I was minging. But that for me, there's something that I'm really trying to instill in myself now is that level of stillness, because I feel it's the only place you can think.
Do you not think it comes from being more satisfied, a better level of understanding personally, and more along the way of accomplishing the goals you've got and setting foundation? I think you have your family now, you have your boy.
Yeah, 100%. I think you have periods in your life where everything changes and your perception of what life is. When you're young, we were talking about this earlier about youngsters not the work ethic in sort of millennials at the moment is very difficult. The reason why, it's a really good book called Coaching for Performance by John Whitmore, which talks around Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah. So obviously Maslow's hierarchy of needs, those that don't know, at the bottom you've basically got survival, you've got somewhere to sleep, somewhere to eat, you've then got reproduction with your missus, and then you go and get a job. You'd then actually then look at your goals, and the thing at top's called self-actualization, which is like your passion, mission, like your life's purpose. Because of information now through YouTube and through Instagram,
so accessible.
Self-actualization's in the middle.
Right.
So you're an employer, and you don't give them passion, purpose, mission before you give them instruction, they won't do it. Yeah. Because they haven't got a meaning to the end. But back in the day, it's like you're like your dad and your dad's dad, like 9 to 5.
Yeah.
60 years, golden handshake, fuck off, dead.
Yeah.
Now it's like Joe Bloggs is earning 777 million, putting half his arse cheek on Instagram with a picture of a fairy on it.
Yeah.
Why can't I do that? It's so this is again where you start looking at like the way of the land at the moment, especially in the high performance space, is shifting so fast just because everyone's perception of what high performance is. Like I'm a bit of a weirdo about. I'm like, not everything's high performance. It can be,
yeah,
but it's an attitude towards it.
Yeah.
Are you active in the pursuit of high performance, or you're not a high performing individual if you are on one side of your life? In my opinion, cool.
Yeah.
Give it 5 years and let's see. If you think you can outwork your health,
yeah,
it's mad to think that's still like a process.
Yeah.
But it is changing. Now people are now recognizing like Whoop, for example, is massive in business.
Mate, absolutely love it.
People are,
but focus on more sleep and not exercise.
But you recognize gamifying your performance, giving you a target, so that's why you enjoy it.
Yeah.
But this is the thing: is like if you're looking at this is why I kind of my career went from being I'd work with any fucker, I didn't care. They could have no teeth, called Gladys from Donny, or a millionaire from Singapore. I didn't care. I'll work with you. Now I've narrowed that to a specific demographic on purpose because one, I'm a specialist in that area. I help people navigate grey areas of optimization and peak performance. That's my if you ask me what my gift is as a person, I've got so much experience from, as I said, I was an equestrian, I've been a gamekeeper, I've been a brickie, I've worked in autistic schools, I've worked with world championship MMA fighters for one championship, millionaires who have sold out for 160 million. I've got a customer who is looking to bootstrap a business of 700 million. Like, cartoon characters. But the point is the experiences in them. The number one driving factor is human optimization, peak performance, human behavior, and actually professional systemization. Not what app you're using. Professional, how you operate as a professional.
Yeah.
Dictates how productive you are, how much bandwidth you have, how much clarity on decision making you have, how much capacity you have to make.
Mate, decisions. I think trying to simplify this then for anyone watching it, especially with a business owner, which fucking hopefully you are, that's why you're watching it. But if I look at why I'm able to do what I am at 42, it's because I fucking literally live like an athlete since even actually at school. I'm just going out for like 12-hour bike rides with like a bottle of Coke. Do you know what I mean? Yes. Biked up to fucking Ponce up Eastridge Woods. Yeah. Done probably 60 mile.
Yeah.
Just start getting cramp at like 5:30 in the evening when I come back on a Saturday. And it's like, I haven't drunk anything. And you think, that must build. And then followed by 10K time was fucking 31 something, was ridiculous.
Yeah. Wow.
You're looking like literally ridiculous. You've got, fucking, what was I? But I was very small. So it was 8 and a bit stone.
Fucking hell. I was that when I was 11, bro.
Yeah, but it was tiny. Like literally like I got AIDS.
Yeah.
But then you go and all you did, and I raced motocross, So I didn't drink for 2 years, I don't think, when I was racing motocross properly.
Savage sport, man.
And unbelievable. And then when I finished, I didn't train back, I think, for like a year and a half, because I never trained back. You didn't realise my back's huge. You'll tell you that. I don't know why, but it is 8 hours a week on a motorbike.
But you're pulling on a bike, mate.
Honestly, pulling on a bike.
Yeah, and the motocross has got the highest BPM over time than any other sport.
Easy.
It's like 180 for like 30 minutes.
30 minutes, which took me years. So I used to be a polar distributor as a PT, and I was trying to understand how that was. It's really through blood to oxygen demand to muscles is so great over your whole body, your heart.
Well, you're continually holding tension.
Yeah.
So it's like doing a weight session at full throttle, as well as adrenaline and anxiety. You're going to die. Like that's why it's mental. But they're the same. Like they're like horse riders, man. Their nutrition is shit. Like they'll jump on, torpedo a bottle of Monster, have a half a Boost bar, do a race, do it again. That's
because they're about that big.
Yeah. And in my head, I'm always like, fucking hell, you give me one of them and I'll make them an absolute, they'll be a weapon. But but they already are a weapon, yeah. So, but this is all the thing, the massive correlative piece of the puzzle for business owners, especially. But
I think, sorry to get to the point, that is what gives me the bandwidth now, because I've got such a level of fitness generally,
and your resilience as well.
Yeah,
because
it feels sliding.
You can't think your way to a healthy body.
No,
you can make your body healthy for a clearer mind.
Yeah.
So the thing is especially when you expand your physical capacity, you extremity expands capacity generally. if you expand your resilience capacity from a thing that you're doing by training,
Yes.
you're by default training resilience in using your
Mentally.
mind. You can talk about hippocampus growth, and you can talk about
Which is now real.
which is it's massive, man.
Huberman, what's that? When he was speaking to Goggins, what way to tell people?
So
about that?
it's again, we'll talk about when we talk about the gut health stuff and about the enteric nervous system and about how the brain's associated with digestion. And this is why I was so fascinated this last 18 months about stress.
Yeah.
It's because you're not getting away from it.
No.
Stress is everywhere.
No.
And if I don't have stress, I'm going to make it hard. I'm going to make whatever I'm doing harder
Yeah,
to get to find pressure. So pressure, no pressure, no diamonds is Stephen Kotler stuff. He talks about that. I want pressure. So do you.
Do you think, but do you think there's also, so to take away us that seek it, I honestly think that it has to be present to some degree to find purpose or fulfillment. And it's just probably, is it, and this is a thought I've had, especially in business, because everyone's here feeling stressed. Yeah, you get stressed, but without it, would you be bored? Would you?
Million percent. If you don't, you only grow during stress with the gym. I don't overstress a muscle, it won't grow.
Of course, yeah.
If I don't overstress my nerve, it's called the GAS principle. It's called general adaptation syndrome.
Guys, you're getting so much from this if you own a business.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
So, but it's a case of you adapt to your environment, you adapt to the stimulus you give yourself. Example, if you, how many of you business owners have been in a position where work is on and they have worked all day, not eaten, not drank anything, and it is full send.
Yep.
But my argument to all those sort of people is that's called an acute positioning. If you put that at chronic, so chronic means long term, the downstream effects of what happens to your health then is what's going to actually make you stop being able to play at the level that you want to play at. That's why this is the thing what got me fascinated about what I do is being the person behind somebody's performance is everything. This is what I actually struggled with that in my business, was because someone came to me and said, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "I don't fucking know."
Yeah.
Because I've helped people sink crazy deals in their business by keeping them fit, fast, strong, healthy, and keeping their decision making in check. I've got CEOs who have now they've literally gone into being a CEO, and the pressures on them are huge. But in boardrooms, she's a savage. Away from the boardroom, the questions they'll start asking themselves are at a different altitude, because it's just like playing elite sport. If you play National One and go and play in the Championship or Premiership, the questions asked of you are mean a lot more. The pressure's more, so you have to unpack
And
that.
the thing you curate is different.
Everything. So it's such a business is like the biggest blood sport out there long term. And if I've always found that those that have played sport in some regard, if they keep their edge, they can operate at a longer and a more sustained level of performance long term.
It's weird, isn't it? Because you always think if it's sport like business, you're trying to put your best foot forward all the time. To a point where that's the most you've ever practiced. It's the most you've ever trained. But then you're going to go and try and give your best performance. Yeah, in training, you beat yourself up, wouldn't you? You have a shit ride. If I went in, fucking riding today, look at the watch, I'm flying. You're like, it feels difficult. You're like, fucking hell, I have a race day. And I'm like, this felt good. It's like 4
But as you're looking at, so this is the difference between optimal performance and peak performance. Optimal performance is like all the time. Peak performance is when it matters.
Yeah.
So
So which would you advise in? Is this because if we talk about, especially for people out there, and people that might watch me quite a bit, look, I have massive levels of off switch on a Friday. That man over there knows exactly the extent that has been for the last 2 years. Look at him laughing to the point he came to my house one Saturday just to make sure I was all right. Hadn't heard of him for like 24 hours or something?
Yeah, you were offline.
Off.
MIA,
And
boss.
he's the only one. He's the only one that can contact me. It's interesting because I just go and get pissed. People, I know it's like healthy. Fucking people out there question it. Fuck off. Unless you're fit at the moment, unless I'm bringing some negative impact to your life. And this is probably we talk about uncensored founder files. This is having lived, and I could only dine out on that. I've been an athlete. I've done exercise. I've ticked loads of boxes for a while, and I'm also very aware this level of tempo's got a fucking shelf life. Like didn't say that last time, but I'm fucking burnt out.
Yeah.
But I have to have these regular periods through the week, 12, 24 hours where it's just fucking just off. All right. But that in its own right felt quite like something I wouldn't talk about until I think we started to speak, and I thought, actually, I've got to sit down and chat to myself. It's not about what society's asking of me or telling me what I think is fucking right. Because
What are you running from, bruv?
Yeah, and it was like, actually, I'm bored. Got no fucking toys at the moment because they're all sold to keep this stuff going.
Yeah.
So at the moment, and I do enjoy socialising, it's just probably a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those,
extensive.
especially, this is super common in the space I operate in relation to alcohol, because alcohol is we use it as a stress. Generationally, it's a stress management mechanism.
But it makes stress worse.
Dad comes, yeah. So it does both. It goes hypo. So what happens is let's just say you sink 15 beers for the back because you're a lad. 15 beers, I'll be so bloated, man. Fucking, I'll be blowing, yeah. I'll be massive kite hanging out, yeah. Couldn't. But so you actually have a downward hypo-arousal response. So it de-stresses you. And it's like an inverse. It'll go woof straight back to hyper-arousal. So you look at sleep mechanics. You look at like digestion. You look at insulin resistance. You look at fat. Yeah. So your whoop, especially when you send it, will be like 0, or it'll be the skull in it. So it says you're dead.
It's just how it does
what you're doing to your body.
You were right.
Fucking idiot.
Right, yeah.
But in my head, it's like it's only dependent on the dosage. The poison's in the dosage.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Alcohol is by people who are using alcohol as a sedative for something deeper. Very different to someone who's like going out for dinner with my missus on the weekend. We share a bottle of wine. I've got mates coming over for a barbecue. I haven't seen my mate in ages. I'm going to get fucking annihilated. Or I've got a wedding. Mate, send it. Like there's things in life which are like lemons worth of squeeze. Like we start going deep around like...
He's always got some fucking great sentences. Like these fucking phrases he comes out with. Go, Tom, cut that fucker.
it is. But like you don't ever know what's going to happen. That's why I've learned this massively personally with whatever losing family members and this kind of stuff is like no one actually.
Tomorrow ain't guaranteed, mate.
But literally, I lost my old man in 4 weeks, mate, and he was healthy, cycle 12K every day, ate healthy, skinny, no problems at all. Cancer got him. See you later. Now, what drives me now is the fear of leaving something on the table.
Yeah,
but that can be, if you put it into this context, a connection with friends.
Yeah.
If I've got, I love barbecue at the moment. I think that's what happens when you hit 30, you go towards 40s, you suddenly start barbecues like the only thing you ever do. But if I smoke a brisket and have beers with my mates, I'm not gonna, and I don't really drink.
Yeah.
I'm willing to take that on the chin. Yeah. We'll deal about that shit later.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're going home after work, smashing a bottle of vodka because you've had enough, and you've not gone out, you've done it by yourself because you're like, this is the only way for me to get away from that. There is super common. I used to in Singapore, really high pressure environment financially. Obviously, most of them are bankers, investment bankers, or they're into forms of insurance or whatever.
Oh, mate, I'm right there right now.
Yeah, they are.
I'm there.
Yeah, you're on the teetering on the edge.
I'm fucking there.
But
like
this
I
is
say it publicly.
This is
I'm there.
Come to my world, mate. I'll teach you, brother. Yeah? So it's important to then distinguish actually where, like, example, if you're burnt out, it's because you haven't got resources. It's not, you're not actually burnt out. Your decision making is you're overloaded.
So it's not burnt out. I'm just literally at that point going.
I've met.
It will happen though.
Yeah. I think I've met 2 people who've actually hit chronic actual burnout, like as in like medically needing help burnout.
Yeah.
It's the same with training. People talk about overtraining, yeah?
It's just not recovering enough.
It's not recovering enough, or you're not fueling it.
Or the incentives probably.
And you're not, we talked about a gas principle, yeah?
Yeah.
Here you go, science lesson.
Love this.
Let's say you use a back squat.
Yeah.
You've never back squatted 100 kilos before, I PT you. We back squat 100 kilos. What happens is your immune system will drop because you're trying to recover.
Yeah.
You'll then super compensate, and the next time your tolerance level of that weight's more. So last time you got 1 set at 100, next time you might get 2.
Yeah.
Next time you might get, but that's a time reflection.
Yeah.
The same happens in everything that you do from a business standpoint. It happens from a personal standpoint. It happens, your tolerance to that gets, so an example, ask me to train 6 days a week. I can train 6 days a week.
Yeah.
I've trained for an Ironman.
Yeah.
I trained 12 times a week. I've trained for an ultra marathon. I did 105K in a week. Now, if I ask some of my clients who don't run to run 105K in the week, they'll snap.
Yeah.
But if they give me a year,
and
they're on 150K because I would have each time I would have staggered it. It's the same with business. If you know what it's like, mate, when you're bootstrapping something and you drop the hammer, the first bit's always minging. Doesn't matter what happens with it. It's challenges, problems, figuring it out, what to do, etc. By the end, when it's all sunshine and roses, that's where the poison is, because what most men or women do is that bit that got them there doesn't actually get them to the next level. That next bit is self-awareness.
Yeah.
Because if you know that you're getting burnt out, you need to have strategies in place for you to actually, if your pressure valve is alcohol, cool. But how you're using it, when you're using it, why you're using it, that's what I would challenge. Not the should you not drink.
Mate, and this is it. And that right now is literally just, I just know I'll get to it's normally around what I'm dealing with. Because we've fucking stupidly got 4 businesses that are all fairly new.
Yeah.
Off the back of a fairly good corporate career. Well, it's a pretty fucking good corporate career.
Yeah, it is a very good corporate career you've had, mate.
Winning Entrepreneur of the Year and scaling a business into astronomical values. It's quite frustrating because people go, "Oh, you didn't make it there." It's like, mate, you wouldn't have even got in the same room. Like, you're not even.
But this is the thing. Is there's two different flavors to that. Is in relation to, we used to say this in rugby, is you're only good as your last game.
Yeah.
So
and I know that.
So
I've come out of the back swing and go, fuck you. I'm going to
yeah. So what you'll do is you'll do this even bigger.
Yeah.
But that's such a not many people can sustain that.
No.
So they couldn't sustain the pressure that got you to being the top dog at Monster. But yet you're going to turn. You're looking now at a global brand that's worth fucking, I don't know, everything.
It's ridiculous.
And you're going to go, watch this, motherfuckers. Yeah. And that gap there is an exposure thing. It's not taught. It's that is such a personal piece of your journey.
But it's interesting because only when we get into this, and this ends up being about me, not you.
You're good, mate. You're good. Live coaching session. Take it. We're good.
I think everyone will get a lot from this, and I know if you're watching this, of how to take this into your own businesses. But that phase is only personal because people don't get it. The people that are very close to me, they're not bothered, and I never talk about it. But I'm like, because if it's not that I'm bothered, it's fucking motivating me in a thing because it's bigger than just money. Because you want money, but fucking want money, I can't get a real job.
Yeah,
that's a lot easier. I could shortcut that to 6 figures fucking a month. So it's not that. And then the people that probably do see it are like, oh yeah, but it was luck, wasn't it? I'm like, there's the one. I'm sure that's not luck. So, but mate, it's very interesting to talk about this. I think whilst it's good to dig into some of this, I think some of the principles you're talking about of how you manage business owners and founders, and I guess anyone watching this, guys, we'll put some link up to Will so you can reach out. Because he's definitely, if you've been watching this, I mean, it's turned into me getting loads of value again. And I think anyone watching this pulling, Gaz is in the back of that.
You got the notepad out now.
Jesus fucking Christ, he drove it.
Worth the squeeze. Yeah.
So guys, I think you can see, and this for me goes back to a previous comment I made on a episode of Catch Up when Dave and I would talk about gurus, of why I called this guy out. It's just, and it comes from someone that I like to think I have a broad understanding of things. I'm not really an expert in anything. What was it? Jack of all trades, master of none, is still a better master of one. Well, look at the last bit. But I think where you've got the gift that I haven't seen greatly, I'm not well exposed to people in your industry either. Obviously, your business partner's good, but is that ability to have a broad spectrum of experiences, a fucking unbelievably complex and diverse character, I guess. You know, from one end to be able to go at it.
Yeah, thank you.
Barbarian style.
Yeah.
And secondly, I see how the way you are with your kid and your wife and stuff now. And as a friend, you're quite a caring person. Yeah. That's when you're good. And then you overlay that with a deep understanding, a very complex understanding of the mechanics, mate. And the fucking phrases you use are just ridiculous. You don't sound like a toff.
King of the phrase, mate. That's it. I've got the real hooks sorted.
Yeah,
that's literally it.
Yeah. Sure, no, these are some of the best teasers. So back to you, mate. So over all this, then we've gone equestrian. We didn't get to that bit.
Didn't
what
get to
happened?
I snapped my leg in half. Yeah. So
ease into that.
This bit again.
True story.
True story. And I also made the weirdest interview of the year in an Irish newspaper. That's my accolade of life, mate.
Had to be an Irish one with the
horses. It
has
to be an Irish one. It was so I got sent. I can't even find it anymore. It's so annoying. But it was my ex-partner was lunging a horse with a yearling, so a young horse.
Yep.
And I had 6 dogs at the time, and I was just outside doing work. We had a farm, which I was basically I had an equestrian yard, living away, pro rugby, earning, as I said, 18 G's. I had nothing, man. I worked my ass off. Every hour of the day was working. That's where I did PT and that kind of stuff. She was getting I suddenly heard a scream, and obviously standard procedure. I'm in the mixer, and I ran in there. And she's small, and she's in between. It's basically rearing up and pinned her against the wall, and it's stamping, trying to stamp on her. But because she's so small, it's literally legs are going either side of her. So I've ran in, got hold of the lunge line, which is about 15 feet long, and I got hold of the middle of it. And as it pulled away, the back of it whipped my leg and flipped me upside down. If someone had a phone on there, that'd have been wicked for you. For you being brave, mate. I literally on my ass, getting dragged around this school. And she's obviously running out. I pulled it up towards its head, and I grabbed its head collar. And it was one of those weird moments in life where everything stopped. Everything. I remember clearly. I can see it looking at me, snorting, and it was so anxious. And in my head, I was like, "This thing's gonna kick me here." So I've let go of its head and turned to bolt. And as I've turned to the side, it's spun on a 6-foot double feet, bang straight in the side of my knee, snapped my leg in half.
Mate.
And
Right in the middle of your first,
The first 8 weeks of my career, so and I was flat, like not been I've worked my whole life to get here, given up everything. I did my whole education to play rugby. I did all my friends would play rugby. I left home to play rugby. I left London because I wanted to get away and play rugby. I had this dream to play pro, just sign pro. And it was like, for me, that wasn't the end. I was like, right, sign pro, get into championship, premiership, England. Like, let's get after it. I'm going to do this. Realistically, I reckon I could have made it a little bit further, but I wasn't going to play the two. I wasn't tall enough. But anyway, so, and I just was screaming, and I wasn't screaming the pain was bad.
You're just pissed off.
I just thought I lost my rugby career.
You're raging.
And
instant rage.
And I remember trying to get into my house, and I rang my mum. And I rang her, and I was screaming on the phone. She was laughing at me. She thought I was joking. And she was like, "Well, what are you on about?" And I was like, "Mom, I'm done. I'm cooked. I can't play rugby anymore. I'm finished." Anyway,
well, your legs hanging off.
Literally, my leg was. So we went to the hospital. This is probably like the biggest life moment I've ever had about looking after yourself, about self-care and this kind of thing. I was sat there on a gurney in Herefordshire Hospital, and I was wearing a t-shirt that I got from a car boot sale, a pair of old jeans that I'd cut the legs off, and I had 2 non-matching wellies on. I hadn't had a haircut, and this woman picked up my leg. She goes, "Oh, I'm not sure if your injury's that bad. It might be a bruise." And she just walked my foot nearly 90 degrees. And she's like, "Oh, you might have done something there." And I've sat there on my own. I remember it clearly of like, this can't be my fucking life. And then I dislocated my full knee. I had an ACL, PCL, and MCL total obliteration is probably a good term. But actually, I was lucky because it didn't tear; it snapped. So it's perfect.
Mate.
I remember ringing my boss. I was like, "Griff, I've been kicked by a horse, mate.
I've got half a leg."
And he literally was like, "Are you taking a fucking piss?" Like, and I was like, "No, I'm not joking." Like, so I zoom in, fast forward, and not going into. We can go to granular detail if we want to, but I lost absolutely everything. Like, I couldn't afford the farm. I was told I was going to have an operation. Derek Bickerstaff, he's no longer works anymore. But if anyone was to get he'd see. I'm not the kind of person. He saved my life, mate. He told me I'd never walk properly again. Yeah. Told me I would never play rugby again. Told me I couldn't lay carpet, couldn't bend my knee properly. He basically said, "Mate, I'm going to put your knee back together, but you're fucked." And I said, "Give me a 5% chance I can do it." And he's like, "Well, I can't. Insurance. If I tell you can, you could sue me." I just said to him, "Watch."
Yeah, watch.
And I walked out. And lucky, and shout out to Natasha Bedford, fucking legend. She's my physio. And she was like, "Well, we could do it. I'll back you.
That's it.
Let's fucking do it." And so
And then what did you do the only other week when we first ran like 4 million mile in like a day?
No, I ran 112k in the Lake District over 4,500 elevation.
In like 12 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, no, 22 hours.
12.
Yeah,
I
ran an Ironman with one lung. That's probably that's for the next story. Out of my lung collapsed in that. But yeah, so I 10 months. Again, this is probably where we talked about earlier about stress tolerance and resilience. In that time period, had the operation. I left home. I left at my mum's then, my dad's. Me and my ex-partner in February split. Like we moved my house because couldn't afford it. Moved into her sister's, and I at that point our relationship was done. This is again where I'm quite good with people. Is I knew ages ago my gut had been telling me that this was not the right thing to do, and then I just couldn't. I wasn't strong enough. I've been with her 8 years. And we just did not stop arguing. So just one day, I just picked my dog up. We had 7 dogs. I picked one, my oldest dog, TS. She's still there. She's 17 nearly. And I just walked out with nothing. No clothes, no bags, no everything. My whole life, I just left it there and drove off to Donny in tears. Like what the? I don't know what I'm fucking doing, but I'm doing this now. Anyway. Broke up with her. 8 months later, lucky enough, I've met my wife. That was it. Bush done.
And now we've got little boy,
little King George. Yeah, man.
See him all the time.
You'll see him on Instagram. He gets the most
amount. He's famous as fuck.
He is, mate. Yeah, he's
there front and centre, isn't he?
Pull-ups already, mate. Smiles, teeth hanging out. Looks like he's been chewing a tennis racket. Like he's shouting his head off. Yeah, man. So but then my recovery from injury to playing against Cross Keys away was 10 months. I was told again. I said it should have been 18 to 24, but 10 months. And then ever since that, touch wood, I've everything I've been told. Should never do jiu-jitsu. Done that for 7 years.
Bollocks.
Ran.
But let's look at the why. And I think this is when you start to look at the reasons why we get where we are as business owners, founders, solopreneurs, as you've just called yourself. That's an interesting one for anyone watching this. Is the distinction between the two, solopreneur and entrepreneur. But there's a trend, a thread of someone could tell me something, but I'm deciding what's going to be, what's the norm, or what we can do, or where I can get to. That's consistent right through everything you've ever said, right?
Yeah.
It's
I've always, so
belief.
when I was a kid, if you everyone who will probably be listening to this has this underdog complex.
Yep.
I'm going to prove you fucking wrong.
I'm glad I have.
Yeah. Which is, but it's a finite fuel source.
Yeah.
Because when you get to the end of it,
Yeah.
you're unfulfilled. Whereas if you actually flipped on its head and say, what game am I playing? Well, I'm not playing a game, I'm playing my game.
Yep.
Your game is a whole different way. And it took me a long time to learn that wasn't, my whole life's been driven.
Well, you were learning it, and isn't it? Because I get you, but I still playing a lot of these games, depending on what's going to give me the better fuel source.
You need, everything in your life needs balance. Good, bad, right, wrong, war, peace, whatever. You need good energy and bad energy.
Yeah.
If you ask me to,
Fine, that makes sense.
my bad energy
Yeah.
is like a small, if you looked at it from like a drinks bottle, yeah. Rest usual energy is like a litre bottle.
Yeah.
My bad energy is a shot glass.
All right, fine. Now, mine used to be litre bottle,
Yeah.
shot glass, but I flipped them into that.
Yeah. So because you have to have, there has to be, you don't want to lose your drive.
No.
Because the stuff that's built you, the stuff that, like you said, if you got someone who rings you up tomorrow and goes, listen, I'm going to drop you whatever 100 mil, but I need this done by tomorrow, and you think you're going to run it, you're going to try and find work-life balance, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah. Whereas if I know I've got I've got really dark energy if I need it. I've gone through a lot of trauma. I've had a lot of like fuck you moments where I've overcome loads of adversity and loads of all that stuff, which I'm quite blasé about, but it is pretty big. I know I've got that in the locker, but that gives me confidence.
And can we just talk about, so the benefits is someone watching this is from someone who's accomplished, and this is your job, is acknowledgement, that fucking dark place, that bad energy, those bad times, whatever you want to coin them, which I believe society's trying to remove the opportunities for people to
massively. Yeah.
Fucking,
you can't fail now.
Yeah. I mean, that's just silly.
Yeah.
And what we do here is we try to give space, but safe places for the TQual students to come and fail. But even looking outside in at this, as you as a fan, which is why you're here, if you watch this back, like the energy in your face when you said the real fucking dark, there you could see it. And it's interesting to still say, because I think I get talked about this, but I need to go there sometimes. Most of the time I sit at a bottle out, I'm fucking bottle of whiskey on a Friday, I'm fucking got fucking Will Smith and all the fucking quotes on for any given Sunday and shit going in. I'm like, Al Pacino's that fucking inch in front of your face. I'm there pulling that shit back out of me because we could have had a nice week and at the last minute it's gone wrong. And I'm like, fuck, I feel all soft again.
Yeah.
And then I've got a bit of disappointment. I'm like, fuck, no, find myself. I need to find another gear to go back on a Monday.
Yeah. But it's also knowing yourself, what makes you tick. So we use in training, I call it redlining. Like, you want to come, someone wants to come train with me.
Yeah.
I'd like to say I operate at an elite standard from like a S&C standpoint or whatever. But I'm not like a genetic freak who's like, I was listening to Bacaccia, the guy on the Tour de France winner. Yeah. Zone 2 for 5 hours at 330 watts. That's fucking mental. That's like, my FTP is 240. Yeah. So and he's there chilling. My point being, there's levels to the game. Yeah. But emotionally, what we coach is inside. Like on May 24th, we've got an in-person day, which we are going to be able some spots up to for people that want to come and sort of train, get after it, and be like-minded people. That there, if you take yourself to a place from like a control setting of redlining, i.e. training really fucking hard, it starts to build more confidence in other areas of your life. So I don't disassociate that sometimes you have to be all in to be all out, but most people put that across all spectrums. They don't recognize that their performance is a dial switch, not a light switch. So like you said, if you win or lose, you're fucked. Yeah. Because you're never, how many times Federer did a thing about he missed 53% of his all-time shots or whatever. You're never going to be satisfied. But if you recognize that actually this is a dimmer switch, you suddenly then have an opportunity to course correct real time without being, it's easy to critique yourself because you're willing to hurt yourself. Whereas
I think Chris Williams had talked recently about a quote that said about the success being perfection. Fast, which is a real fast way to depression.
Yeah, massive.
Because where's the bar after, like, if the minimum level is success is perfection, like the fuck, where's better success? And
it's all context.
Yeah.
Like an example, if you did that in a competition and you played the final winning shot that was absolutely perfect, that has to be perfect for you to win. But when does that happen in real life? You go back home and I've got George running at me. He's not running. He's like screaming at me, crawling, climbing up my leg, vomit everywhere, milk all over me. He's just started babbling. So I'm talking, I'm fighting it, whatever. if I take that sort of all in, all out perspective away, it means that I can actually put on a different hat at a different time and be a different person in different moments. And people think like you sat here now, calm, collected, we're connected through conversation and we're talking about cool things, whatever. But then someone goes on the phone and starts blazing at you. Oh, mate. You're a total different person, but you have to be in that situation. To this situation, people don't use that. They think, oh, well, he has to be like this all the time. And that's where people get stuck, is because they don't recognize. Todd Herman is a really cool person for people to follow. He talks about fields of play and where you are. Like me being here, I'm being as professional and connected to what I'm doing as possible, not only because it represents my brand, but also I have an opportunity to impact somebody and give somebody the keys to their car back indirectly. Because hopefully they take one frame and go, fucking hell, actually, I'm not in that much of a hole anymore. Like we said about solopreneur, I learned that last year was entrepreneurialism means you want to build things, but usually build them with a team. If you're a coach, there's a double-edged sword, because people will say, oh, you have to hire in people. Well, cool. It depends on how much money you make. Because you could be, if you make 6 figures a year, 100 grand a year, whatever, not that it's not hard, but like, it's like, cool, well done. Once you get it, you're so unfulfilled. And then what do? You go, fuck this, I'm gonna do 300 grand. You get from 100 grand to 300 grand is a total different ball game, different streamline of your business, different way of delegating. And also, what do you actually need to do to fill that level of capacity?
Your time doesn't get any bigger.
No. And but I'm very proud of my delivery. This is probably why I'm not an influencer. Like, I'm a person of influence, and that's what. But on people that I know, I don't
you're not craving for it.
I don't. Nah, and it's not that I'm not craving. It's more like I'm unwilling to sacrifice who I am and what I do to try and fit in.
Because let's be honest, let me unpack this, and this starts to lead into anyone watching this as a business. I need to take these optics. Is understanding your audiences. So if you started trying to do and talk, I can't imagine, with the language and the approach you take to influence the top 1% 5, it's going to even fucking land with Karen. She'd be like, who's this dickhead?
Is that who's this obnoxious prick who's telling me that I need to be winning across all areas of my life? Because I've had this and I've got that, and I won't eat my broccoli this, and you eat like a fucking muppet. And but the main thing about this, especially for young business people, is I've been there and I've dealt with Karen. And I've fucking earned my stripes, and I've been in the game 17 years, health and performance. I've seen so much stupid shit, and I believe in the art of coaching as a craftsmanship, because I've earned my stripes in there. I've been paid handsomely for it, and I've worked with some incredible people who are doing incredible things. But I haven't. That's not where I started. I started as a gym instructor. And I started gym instructing by mistake, and then I got a gym instructor's course, worked in my uni, and then I went to be a PT when I was in Donny to try and I said 18G doesn't even fucking wipe your ass anymore. And then
not even minimum wage.
It's terrible. But again, I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing that for the money, because in my head I was there like, this is my stepping stone. Whereas if you asked me about it from a business standpoint, like I couldn't support George now, the way that I want to. So it's like an evolution of somebody doesn't come at the end; it starts at the beginning. And
so, do you not think? I knew there was a bit of method to all the shit I did. I knew if I wanted to broadly be in a position where I am now, I'd need to know a little bit about everything.
This is such a cool point, because people are frightened of being a generalist, where I'm the opposite. My head, I'll go, cool, in health and fitness. I'm like fat loss, strength conditioning, endurance-based conditioning, blood work, mental performance, leadership skills, human behavior, all these vessels. But there's some of them where I can go really deep. Because one, I'm fascinated by it.
Because you find what you're interested in.
And also you recognize what you love, and also what you're good at.
Like,
I'm good with people. Like, if you ask me to do metric data on lactate, I can do it, but I don't give a fuck about that.
I don't even know what you just...
Nah, exactly. So, like, when you do... you're doing on the treadmill 1,000 meters.
Your lactic acid threshold.
So you're measuring how much lactic accumulates over time. So judo's the most mental one, because usually it's about 4 or 5 millimoles. Judo is like 15. Like, it's mental how much they go through. But that doesn't fulfill me. That's not my thing. My thing is like, are you getting after it or not? Because if you're not getting after it,
let's
why?
Have a chat. Let's
like I said, I'm a big, I like using the car analogy. Most people that I come across feel like they're sat in the passenger seat. They know where they want to go. They just don't know how to get there. So they've got someone else driving their car, whether it's their work, whether it's their missus, whether it's their husband, whatever it is. My job is just give you the car keys back.
Yeah.
And go, well, your direction's there. So these are the systems that you need. Boom, 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 boom. Fuck off. I don't want to talk to you again until, or I want to be part of it, but it's not. I think some people have this weird thing where it's like in the fitness industry where I don't sell, here's your 8-week 6-pack. Oh, look, it's summer again. Never guess what? Fuck off. Like, my people who I'm working with are trying to make so much money and so much impact. And what they want to do is they want to go and buy a chalet in wherever.
Yeah.
And they want to, so yeah, they want a 6-pack, but they're not willing to give up and eat a dog shit for it. So actually, but this is all an evolution. When I moved to Singapore, I built a body transformation program. And then they basically, I strategized it, and then they started taking hold of it and putting their thing in it. So I stopped, I reversed out, because I suddenly realized that what I was selling then, no one was going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because it was not.
It wasn't.
They've got client engagement that's worth $1 million if they don't have a drink of red, and you can't have a drink of red.
Yeah. So it's untenable.
And it's also like, it's this thing you were talking about of getting to the end and suddenly being unfulfilled. Those people will go, well, if I get that deal, then it leads to this deal, then it leads to this deal, then to this. Not if it's like this one snapshot of information. That's what I found with all this game. And that's what it frustrates me, but also liberates me, is like, that's why I've got staying power, man. I've outlasted so many other coaches who have just fucked about with trying to find the latest trend or be unfulfilled with their job. Or people, the amount of coaches that I know that hate what they do.
Yeah.
Because they feel they have to socially conform, where I'm like, this is who I am.
You're more about, would I be wrong considering you're more about what's the product and outcome of the service you deliver?
Yeah. So I'm
orientated based on who your client is.
Yeah. And I just like working with weirdos, man. I like working with people that want
real seems real, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I like working with people that are like, they come across a bit obnoxious that they want so much, but it's not. I got this wicked client the other week who CEO, sorry, and she swam the channel 3 years after it swam the channel. She wanted to push her business. She had an incredible family, and we were helping like how to strategize that all together. That kind of thing is my like, yeah. Like, that's not a normal coach can give you that, because they say, oh, your work's too busy, you can't.
Because there's no relationship to what she's trying to do. And you span back to the things physically, mentally.
Yeah. And also the case of like, yeah, that's cool. Why can't you? Society tells you should.
There's a mindset. Yeah. I mean, you're like me, mate. I think give me enough money and time, and I don't think impossible exists. Simple.
And yeah, I don't know. I've just always got this thing on my shoulder. Like, I just, as a coach, it's just fucking wicked to see someone absolutely blow it out the park.
Yeah.
And just be like.
So let's come back to that then. So now we've heard about it. What does your business look like?
In relation to delivery?
Yeah. What services you offer?
So my how
long you've been going?
Strap line for what we do is I help business leaders stay on top of their body shape, health and performance, so they can create more impact, more freedom, and more revenue for their company. That's the sales pitch. In the elevator, come work with me.
Yep.
What that looks like is 17 years of working in the health and performance space. So all the foundations of what we do are human optimization across all realms: mental capacity, sleep and nervous system, biometrics, biomechanics, strength conditioning, nutrition.
So let's walk us through those. So some people, like, I get all those, but I always think when we're trying to do this, the lowest common denominator. Someone's sitting there, literally caught sight of this and heard a couple of things you say. Like, what are they? They reach out to you. What are some basic things? What's the process look like? What sort of things do they expect? How much could it cost?
So for people who come in the door, will I want to work with you? Okay, cool. What are your bottlenecks of your performance right now? The difference between what I do and what other people, not that I'm slating other people, but why your situation is specific to you, and what your bottlenecks are very personal, usually whether it's a mental capacity standpoint or a physical one.
Yep.
So we design a journey directly with you.
Fine. So
as an example, times when you can train, what your health's like currently, what we want your health to be, how are we tracking your health, what's going to give us the biggest levers of optimization to help you elevate your professional standard and personal standard so that you can operate at a higher frequency. Layman's terms, I always go health first.
Yep.
So we track health data, health metrics, and health what's going to push the levers of your health. An example,
because without a good base, then you
can't out the person. We use a thing where the human first approach is about we look after the human inside of your performance.
Yep.
So what makes you more human? Quality sleep, nourishing nutrition that provides you energy and is more directed at energy availability, not just breaking you down. Nervous system management. So how do you leverage stress? And are you in an example, someone like yourself who is highly fight or flight all the time? You haven't got that. We talked about that dial switch. You haven't got you can't rotate down to parasympathetic very well. The way you do that is by using alcohol, because that helps you relax.
Yeah.
My job is to help you have that as a choice, not as by default. That's a very different ball game, because if we go, cool, well, hang on, using piss as this, but you haven't got X, Y, and Z in place. That's why you have to have that.
Yeah.
Where if we have X, Y, and Z in place, you can choose to have that. And if you have a choice, it takes the mental capacity. That you see what I mean? But that's the key.
Weird, mate. If someone's watching this, they told me the other day they have fight or flight syndrome. I was like, that's a fuck up, makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I was like, literally, what?
But fight or flight is part of your autonomic nervous system.
Yeah.
Autonomic nervous system is basically how your body is responding to generate or to protect itself or to recover. It's not a people think it's like a syndrome. It's not a syndrome. This is to do with like vagal nerve tone, mate. We go real geeky. So you
hang on.
Basically, you've got your central nervous system, which is your brain and your spine.
Yep.
That's like the motorway.
Yep.
For me to get messages from here to here, up and down. You then got your peripheral nervous system, which is nerves everywhere. They are sensory nerves finding information in your environment and perceptive environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your autonomic nervous system is basic. Heart rate, blood pressure, hormonal rhythms, sleep pressure, like all this other stuff that comes with it. If you're sympathetic, which means fight or flight, it means what you're doing is you're down regulating the rest and digest pathway, and you're looking to basically be focused, skill acquisition, fight something, basically make venom decisions and stay focused. It's called tunnel vision. Yeah, it's the Bosch term. What happens then is an example. If you're sympathetic, you'll dilate your pupils, you increase blood pressure because you need blood in your periphery. You'll take away blood from your gut because you don't need to digest shit when you're trying to fight something. Yeah, we'll talk about this later when we talk about gut health. It's called the enteric nervous system.
Yeah,
that's where your brain regulates what's going on with digestion and all that kind of stuff. You will you'll get rid of stuff from bladder and bowel. So that's why pre-game rugby, fellas who've ever played rugby before, pre-game shits or vomiting.
Shit standard.
Yeah,
I used to have pre-race shit.
Yeah, pre-race shit, because you're getting rid
just before the gate. I get back on the bike, have a piss.
Excess weight out.
Weird, mate. It did.
But it's not conscious.
No.
So
and I used to have a piss. Every be like, mate on the gate, but fuck, we literally had to go 40. I'd be like, hold on. He's like,
piss. And you know that weird one where you have to piss 3 times in 3 minutes.
Yeah, man.
You'll piss. You'll go out of the bog. You're like, I need to go again. Yes. It's sympathetic drive, because by then your body does not distinguish the difference between getting chased by a lion or that a fucking weapon is coming into your boardroom and you're gonna have to absolutely roast this motherfucker because he's being an idiot. Yeah, no different.
Yeah.
So what I mean by someone hanging about in sympathetic drive is an example. You sat at a computer, you have to be sympathetic because you're focusing on one piece of the puzzle. We talked about a dial switch. How do you bring somebody back? Straight. This is what we just on the immersion we talked about stress inoculation. Is how do you inoculate yourself to stress because you're not getting away from it. The biggest one that happens with stress, it liberates blood sugar because of high levels of cortisol. You need cortisol because cortisol is going to help basically give you more fuel when you need it.
Yep.
Yeah. Increase adrenaline.
Yeah.
So you're up-regulating stress response. The key thing to distinguish there is how do you down-regulate stress response? Because
I've got one thing actually.
Yeah, straight in the bin. But hey, that's the
adaptogens.
Adaptogens can help, yes. But only so far.
Yeah.
So it's an example. That's putting a band-aid over a bullet hole.
Yeah.
It's like you saying, you say, have a sip of that shit and then don't do anything else. It's like, it tastes brilliant, but I'm still being a wanker to myself.
Yeah. So you need behaviour. So what are you talking about? It's a mental framework of stuff?
It's both, man. It's both. So you've got the physical, which is more around how you change a stress response to a challenge response. This is where they talk about nasal breathing because you've got nerves.
So weird because I always go.
Yeah. So you've got nerves in your head, which are all for your eyes, for your ears, all that kind of stuff. And you've got one called your vagal nerve, which is the only nerve that's got active response to everything else in your body, digestion, all your parasympathetic stuff.
Yeah. So without talking over you, have you seen the episode where Chris Hemsworth does the bit when he stood at the symphony? She gets him talking when his legs go fucking solid.
Yeah.
So
See Wim Hof?
Put it up. Yeah, Wim Hof again.
Same thing.
Yeah.
You're the more that you use that vagus nerve, as you breathe through that vagus nerve, it calms that down.
Because it's telling you that you don't need
You're
to
not
run
in a
anymore, 'cause
threat.
You're not holding your breath.
Yeah.
You're not running from the
You're
lion.
not creating tension.
Yeah.
So you down regulate that. So it's like a gauge.
Yeah.
Your nasal breathing, so box
PRV,
breathing.
mate. It's pressure release valve, isn't it, internally?
100%, man.
Yeah.
Like, it literally is that.
Yeah.
Is if we're in this position where we're highly stressed, 3 things that you can do really fast. Nasal breathe, and people think nasal breathing is up. Your nose goes back. There's a guy called Andy Jackson. Google Instagram, and his first pin post will show you it's weird, man. He's got 3 cotton buds that are in the back of his head, and he's showing you how to breathe, because most people can't breathe
Because
properly.
you can pull in from lower stomach.
Yeah, so it's called lateral breathing or vertical breathing. So vertical breathing is with this.
Yeah.
And it creates tension. Lateral breathing is where you open your rib cage up. So really deep breaths into your stomach. 2, get outside.
Yeah.
Because central nervous system, peripheral vision stimulates parasympathetic drive. So
Because you zoom out.
when you go out in nature, what happens?
Yeah.
Calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh no, it's just because I like butterflies. It's not. It's because you're seeing into the horizon. And people that are listening to this who are in cities, Singapore,
trapped, right.
but yeah, they'll use that as an excuse.
Fine.
Get outside. Singapore, for example, go in the CBD. You can look straight down the straight as far as you can, and if you looked as far as you can, you can nearly see the sea. That's using your peripheral vision. Do you need to be going through a pastured green with fucking flowers and a fucking chai
Bambi
latte?
running
Shut
past
the fuck up, man. If you're eating lunch in your office next to your computer, get the fuck outside and
So
sit on the
stand up,
bench.
take a breath, and go and sit on outside.
Go, get outside. 2, take away stimulus.
Yeah.
Because,
I do the door walk.
yeah.
I just fuck off outside. And
Yeah. So that, but so
You're a different bloke when you come back in.
yeah. But we just use that as a reload.
You did it the other week.
Because people think that when they're staring at a screen, your vision is hyper focused. You're stimulating sympathetic drive. So this is the thing: is if we change this like slur from I have to have all this stress management and this kind of bollocks, it's like, listen, you haven't got fucking time for stress management. What you can do is amalgamate
quick
it.
fix, then.
Quick fix, yeah.
Breath. Get up and outside.
Yeah, and also last one will be light. So example, you've got a circadian rhythm, yeah, which is as soon as you wake up, your body is going, I know what time I'm going to go to bed. It's literally a biological clock. It's like you get a grandfather clock. You've got a massive cog, yeah, and you've got all the little ones. That big one sets all these ones off. That's your chronometer. That's the thing that's guiding all the hormonal changes from having high cortisol to low melatonin, all the way up to the end of when you go to bed. It should be high melatonin, low cortisol.
Yeah.
Now, you get a phone call at 7 p.m. Joe Blogs being a wanker. Cortisol through the fucking roof. Melatonin suppressed. What happens? You can't go to sleep.
Oh, mate, yeah, 100, yeah. Stuck in your house as well.
But what also happens is you get into your house, you've got white lights on, you've got your phone has not got the blue light off, you've got blue light going into your eyes, you're still reducing melatonin. So what you're doing is you're not allowing yourself to, it's called increased sleep pressure, and utilizing biological rhythm to get enough sleep pressure to sleep.
Yeah.
So what most people do, especially at night, an example, in your house, you should have dim lights on after a certain period, like 2 or 3 hours before bed. Don't have food. It's called 3, 2, 1. Like you should 3 hours before bed, you should be your last meal. 2 hours should be like more a dim light. And then they say an hour, no fucking phones or Netflix or whatever. Shut the fuck up, man. Like, come on, like we're in 21st century.
Yeah.
But if you're on your phone here, issue. If you're on a television on the wall, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
So basically down regulating your nervous system before bed, you can then start using adaptogens. You can start using chamomile tea and lavender tea and that kind of stuff. But at the evening, if you start shifting your blue light, now the same thing happens in the morning when it's luckily now not, but before it was like dark till 8, yeah. But most people, they get out of bed and they what they do is they put a dim light on in the morning, and they wonder why they're still groggy.
Yeah,
so what they do is they don't hydrate because they forget about hydration, because that's the first thing you should do when you wake up is hydrate first.
Yep.
So what they do is they slam a coffee, adrenals go mad. First, you need to go shit yourself. Second thing, what happens is it's like putting petrol on a bonfire compared to you want that slow burn, you want that steady, like Arga burn. That's what I always say, like your body should be like a fucking log fire.
Yeah.
You should put it on and just let it do its thing, not like the Americans, man. Yeah, man. like Homer Simpson, innit? So point being is back to our point. The piece around the biggest key over the next year, 2025, 2026, is those that can leverage stress positively built for pressure, mate. That's where that name came from.
Yeah. So this is another thing, guys. So if we take some footnotes out here, like, listen, when you're going into business, year one's always going to be stressful. I think we talked about it only yesterday or something. I can't remember. It was years kind 2, 3. Most people fall off anyway, and that's where I'm beginning to subconsciously do a lot of this regulation to keep going, because I'm fine with it. I definitely get to the point where I'm like, fucking hell, there's definitely tweaks, improvements I can make, but I'm consistently in that pattern. And the other thing is probably I recognise based on what else you've said, and if you're listening to this, I'd advise you the same. I'm a visionary. I constantly remind you visions. He probably gets fucking bored of it. Although actually we realised the other day when Gaz had a bit of a fucking wobble, all I had to redo is have a realistic conversation together of talk about the numbers, talk about where we were, and we reset the bar, and you just went, didn't you, Gaz? When were you in, and he just went, fuck, now I can see it again.
Do you know one of the
so wound down with it all?
The biggest levers for stress management, social connection.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, back in like whatever 90s when you were a monster, what did everyone go do? They'd finish work, go to the pub and have a pint, and you'll talk about shit.
Yeah.
We've lost that.
Yeah.
Because now it's deemed not being productive.
Yeah.
Now people are so busy on fucking Zoom and they're not seeing anybody.
Yeah.
And they're not actually talking about stuff that isn't just what they're in. Social connection, and this is where you look at like tribe mechanics and all this kind of stuff, is like, this is how putting it towards business. So I got into the leadership space because I've got a master's degree in coaching science. So human behavior is my thing.
Yeah. And
then all the other shit was to be a professional rugby player. I soon come to learn very quickly about how I've led every team I've been in.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered why.
Yeah.
And what it was 1, I care, 2, I communicate, and 3, I'll ask for help.
Yeah.
Because I'm very honest with everybody. I don't fucking know everything. I'm not a genetic freak. I'm not this like guru that's like, I've got this secret system that'll fucking shut the fuck up. Like I'm a principle driven coach with a chip on my shoulder of, I want to work with people like me. That's what I am. And what we lose is something that one of our pillars inside my company is connection. Yeah. Because I want to reconnect somebody with the inner athlete, the inner professional, and the inner person together, because that is a fucking elite level leader. That's someone who is going to lead from the front, rise to challenge, and not fuck about when it counts.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, it's a blessing and a curse, because it exists in my industry. You've got 2 ways of doing it: 1-to-1 or 1-to-many.
Yeah.
So 1-to-many is I can send you a fat loss program, strength program, strength and conditioning program.
Meaningless.
Yeah, cool. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
But am I on this planet to do that? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Whereas this has been one of the biggest bottlenecks of my company, but also one of the things that's kept me, like you said, about outlasting that first year. Like, I 3x my business in my first year, but I would eat a dog shit to make it happen because I was like, I can't lose. I've got so much responsibility. My wife works for me. We've got a house.
Yeah.
We now have a kid. So the pressure to support and to be who I need to be is huge. Now I'm in a different place where I'm not actually I'm not like a burning plane. I don't need to land this shit. I'm still doing this, and I'm doing it at a high standard, and I'm connecting with more and more high performing people, which is now I'm now operating at a different frequency and all this other stuff. But my point, the staying power piece, is like, I know what makes me tick. I know what makes I know my coaching philosophy, and I also know what I'm not willing to do. Most people don't have boundaries,
and I think you can erode your love from. Well, I think you burn the battery faster doing the shit you really don't want to do.
But again, I think that's like such a massive talking point. Is people think that everyone's day's perfect and like they have to enjoy everything. Mate, I fucking hate 80% of what I do, the admin side of things, because they are spreadsheets. They are looking at training numbers. They are measuring blood work. They are measuring RPE scores. They are sending text messages to etc. It's like that stuff is part of business. But what we've lost here, and this is the best thing about social media, the worst thing, is social media is like a highlight reel of the perfect fucking 4-hour work week. Sat there in Bali with my 3-word email that's going to make me $17 million after one day. Anyone listening to this, not that can't happen, but you're talking about a unicorn.
Fucking rare.
And you're talking about a variable outlier. It's like saying to somebody, in any form of performance, do this and this will happen.
You don't know
Michael
the variables.
Phelps, mate, is if you look on a chart of
Well, he didn't have a day off for 3 years training, did he?
And there's so many variables that make him
6'5".
Wingspan of like a gazelle,
like a
mate.
No, what is it? Pterodactyl,
mate. And his hand is the biggest. His feet are massive. It's like you're saying,
built to fucking
he's
swim.
built. And so you measuring it, unless you are like him. Now, does that mean you shouldn't chase that? No, I never say to anybody, I won't crush anybody's dream.
It's a view and a lens on the bigger picture.
But if you're asking for information
Yeah.
about how to do something,
Yeah.
you looking at a variable outlier is so risky, because can you be that person? Yes, you can. But how many of them actually have a straight trajectory? It's like fat loss. Fat loss is not linear.
No.
Fat loss is like this.
Yeah.
Whereas people think business is, oh yeah, man, I put these many hours, I make this much money.
There's no correlation between in and out at all.
It is, you are.
Not with all the variables of technology, how well you can understand technology.
It doesn't matter, man. Like I've got this picture on my iPad, which is when I actually did my knee, but I use it for business. It's just Into the Storm. A savvy sailor was never built on calm water.
Calm water.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I know it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And
But it's that piece of like, do I want a fulfillment? So we've both done our jobs and manual jobs. Some days when we've been up against it, I've had a positive outcome, I feel really fulfilled. It's like, yeah, I've been in the trench today. It's been sick.
But there's also a bit of it, like something that, like, you talked about your athleticism earlier. You like being in the hurt locker.
Yeah.
So why? That's some people actually, they get quite embarrassed by that. They're like, I secretly fucking love this shit. I don't know if I can say I can love this shit. Well, I'm like, I fucking love this shit. You
Keep
get me
it
in.
on.
So I do like with my customers, we do a make it count workout, which is just like this is what we're doing on the 24th. We come in, do a bit of education, just drop the hammer and have a good hour blast. But it's not. It's I don't do CrossFit. Not because I don't like CrossFit. I've got my mechanics like overhead squats and shit. But push a heavy sled and chase a fucking 21k on a ski erg as fast as you possibly can. Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah. Let's go.
The team bit there, that small snapshot of the energy and effort there, I get off on that.
Yeah.
That's watching someone go. This is the thing. When I started designing my company, I've worked with professional athletes who've, as I said, Alex Silva was at one championship, worked with him, like freak athlete. He's just savage, and he's only 60 kegs, fucking scary dude on the mat as well. But I loved that. But I've worked with people as well who are morbidly obese, who I've shown them they've got more in the locker and they've lost. I've got one lady, Sam Guzman, on my Instagram. She lost 50 kegs.
Oh, I said the other day.
Yeah.
Fucking
50.
Unreal
she's
scene.
A fucking legend, man.
Mate,
I love
unreal.
that lady. She is, but as a person, she's not a professional athlete. I get off as much seeing her take charge of her life, mate, and go.
That's real change, though.
Yeah. So this is the thing about leadership is the problem that I had. The best thing about it, the problem with it, it's not like I'll help you drop 5 or 10 pounds, because no one gives a fuck about your 5 or 10 pounds. That's not the issue. The issue is you're fucking yourself up and drinking alcohol every night, and you hate your job, and you hate your husband, and My thing is, I like being in the journey to prove to you you've got more in the locker. And I've had, like I said, the success in my business now is why the high performance for me is an active process. It makes it so broad that people can enter when they want to.
Yeah.
But it makes it so such a selective club, because unless you actually elevate your standard and want to play at this level, you can't come play with me. Not because I'm being an asshole. No, but because what you're asking for, the visual's got to match the audio. If I see your effort, I will give you everything I fucking can, whatever it is, at any time of day, because I want the result so much, because I'm part of your journey. That comes from being inadequate when I was a kid and rugby and I'm a team
Probably
sport.
Seeing the benefits of the right inputs to change someone's life in a big way.
Yeah, mate.
Massive.
It's all funny, isn't it? Like we all, like you said, we talked about earlier, top of the mountain syndrome. You make £1 million or whatever. I've never done that, but if I did, you'd soon be like, well, I want 2. Yeah. Or I want 6.
Goes past, like, for me, money's not.
Nah, but also if you sat in a position where you'd never made that level of money, it was then.
And that I have to respect.
It was then. It was like, fuck, I am doing this. Where now it's like,
so
I've been there.
Just to say this to anyone's watching, because I think this is a nice footnote, and there's people that say, is the only reason I want to try and create the significant wealth I'm trying to at the moment is, one, because the people I'm taking on and around me, like giving 49% of one of my companies away, it's given away.
Wow.
On purpose, there's a plan to it. Secondly, there's a couple of people around me who I know are going to categorically change their family's lives. And thirdly, there's that what they talk about, like, I've earned over 6 figures for a long time, but like there's no correlation, or there's not a direct correlation in more money, more happiness. It literally fucking peers out.
Wait, I can't remember how much money. I think it's 130 grand.
Is that it? Yeah.
So along the lines of the mental health of people after that is worse.
Yeah. But I believe now, unless you have a framework of understanding where value comes from, and mine is like shared experiences.
Yeah. And there's a book from, what's it called? From Simon Sinek.
I love that guy.
I'll have to send it to you. It's not called the end game. And basically, what he talks around is that if the mission's bigger than you, suddenly you'll be committed to the mission.
Yeah.
And the whole company will stay committed to the mission, because it's not some bloke at the top barking at the bottom saying do your work. It's a bloke at the top who's going, I'm going to get in the trenches with you and I'm going to make you a better person. But we're doing it for this mission.
Yeah, it's
a whole different book. It'll come to me in a minute. It's annoyed me. It's an absolutely incredible book. Like it basically talks around Apple and Windows, and basically Windows' mission at that point was to go out and then beat Apple, where Apple's was to service the customer better.
100%. Yeah. Apple created feelings. Fucking what's his Microsoft? His whole goal was to put a laptop on every desk, and it wasn't even his business because he stole it. Let's not get on that one. I hate Bill Gates.
Yeah.
But look, so as we've cropped this out, mate, you've been here for a while, and I'm conscious we've got a busy life, and we've got another podcast to do together as well.
Yeah.
What would you 4 or 5 tidbits, advice, shared learnings be to a founder watching this now? You know, the start of their journey. What would be some passing nuggets?
Except that it's not going to go right.
Banger.
That is, I think. What's the term? Everyone's got an opinion. What's the Mike Tyson term? Everyone's got a plan to get punched in the face.
Everyone's got a plan.
Like I've been punched in the face a few times, but your ideas will change and shift with the levels of the game that you play. Don't take it. This is not my saying. This is a Gordon Ramsay saying. Is don't take it personally. Take it professionally. It's a massive one. Nice. If you want to protect your mental health. If you take shit personally, again, it's dark. That's a shot glass of dark energy. Someone calls me a motherfucker on Instagram. Cool. I've got. If I know I can whack him, I can. But if I can't, what's the point?
Yeah.
Except that you're allowed to be a black sheep is one of them. Like, I think conforming to social bias is a huge problem at the moment. But you earn the right to do that. That's my caveat to it. I think so many people, they want to be an abnormality in whatever level of performance they want, but a lot of them aren't willing to earn the right to do it.
That's such a great way, because I look a lot of that at the moment. There's all the pictures on Insta, and I think, I definitely am, but that didn't come overnight.
Nah.
Because you've got to be able to back up why you're there.
2 more. Protect yourself at all times. That includes the amount of shit you watch on social media, because the amount of fucking people that I get that are comparing themselves to freaks on the internet, and they're suppressing themselves is huge. Because this probably comes to one of the last ones, is there's only one person that'll believe in you. That's you.
Yep.
If you don't believe in what you're doing, and if you ain't willing to fucking take the heat, then don't get in the fire. This is, if you're trying to be any form of entrepreneur, solopreneur, grow a business, be a leader, whatever, you have to be willing to fight and keep fighting. And it's a fighter's mindset. It's like I'm not going to win all these battles, and I also fully appreciate that I am choosing to be uncomfortable 99% of the time. But I love that shit.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. There's also a bit of like, the worst thing is, those strap lines there made me and you.
100%. Yeah, it's weird.
But the issue is now, you hear this shit on a motivational quote. You see some weapon with a hoodie.
I'm like,
jogging through it, like, fucking shut up, you bag.
And he's like 18.
Yeah.
You're
like, mate, you've got no idea.
No, I agree.
But the superpower of that is like,
it is real.
It is real. It's not sunshine and roses. I've had the last year's been brilliant. And I've not that I've been cruising.
But you've set that up, mate.
So this is the thing. Was I was saying to someone, I consult of coaches and businesses around them and how they're operating and that kind of stuff. I said I had the best year in business last year because I grew. I had a kid. I went traveling, and with the feeling I didn't have the same level of allostoic stress as I did.
Yeah.
Because I systemized myself, my business, and I also recognized that it was bigger things than life, and it gave me a huge pressure valve. But I earned the right to do that.
Yeah.
My first year, send it.
Yeah, go big.
7 days a week, bruv. And if someone's going to pay me money, let's fucking go. I didn't care who it was. If I could help you, I would help you.
Yeah.
Now I'm selective of who I help, not only because of my skill set, but because I care so much. If you don't care that enough, the energy transfer is not fair.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone comes to me and they're like, Will, I want to bootstrap a business to a fucking billion. Yeah, okay. I've never done that, but I'm going to give you the human optimization, the human behavior, and the peak performance keys
to do it.
Yeah. And I'll be that person in your corner that when you're not backing yourself, I'll fucking back you because I know that's like, I've already got goosebumps talking about it. Like,
I love it.
I love that shit. Yeah. Because That's what I needed.
Yeah.
Which I did. I had that. My
What do
parents.
they talk about? It's not like is your strength is normally a toxic trait or something. I've got the
Oh yeah. I know what you mean.
It's the wrong way around.
I care so much, mate.
Yeah,
that is my
same.
That is. I found it very difficult because the thing about business isn't personal. It's dry.
Yeah.
It's metrics, numbers, and acquisition and execution. Sorry.
Yeah.
When you put a person in a business, you have to be very careful of the fine line of where you have your person in that, because I find was something that
It can kill you off.
yeah, and you'll take it so personally.
Yeah.
That's why that personal professional piece has really helped me, because personal now 5 until 7 a.m.
Yeah.
I won't text any motherfucker on there because I'm with my boy making coffees and reading books and shit. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, like this morning, I was flapping like a knob because I was thinking, oh mate, I've got so much to do and I'm going on podcasts and I've got to travel and da-da-da. I still did it.
Yeah.
Because that's as a dad, I'm like, I was very
And
lucky.
we've been talking about this for many weeks because you've been that busy. So literally, mate, absolute with props for this.
Yeah, no,
'Cause you don't
man.
get anything for this.
It's like you said,
We're not exactly a global podcast.
No, like-minded people, man. I'm a big. There's a book called Be More Pirate. You should read it if you haven't read it. That book will tell you why I'm here.
Mate. And this is, mate, absolute pleasure. We could sit here for fucking hours, but on the basis of what you've just said, and we've got some other bits to do, mate. I am always blown away. Gaz just sitting there occasionally grinning, always just says like, we literally get so much out of talk to you, mate. And
No, thank you very much for having me, man.
We're going to put some links up and stuff about where to find him. I think there's some stuff, mate, us where we do some virtual distance pieces. So if anyone's got any questions, anyone wants to ask some stuff, let's get them in the comments, in the bio, or whatever the bollocks you put below this.
Yeah.
It's like looking all cool.
That's it. Every link under the sun.
Yeah, it'll be everywhere.
Just find if you said anything deeply personal, Will Foden on Instagram. LinkedIn.
This is it. Tom, chuck the comments and stuff. He is super personable, guys. He will chat to anyone. I just think, if you've got a load of questions, let's get them in, because we could probably bring some bite-sized chunks of these if you're up for it over time.
Q&A or something, that'd be wicked.
Yeah, so get them in, guys. Will, big love to you, brother.
Legend. Thank you very much for having me, man. Legend. Bosh.